good morning. I normally don't be up this early in the morning. However, there was an incident at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and we're gonna briefly talk about it. Shout out to Amala. Let's get it.
Guys, hi. Welcome in. We are live right now talking about the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I was not expecting to be on right now. Very much pregnant at the moment, as you can see, but there is a lot going on. There's been a shooter at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Now, this is an ongoing story that is being updated as we speak, so you guys are just going to be following along with me here. It does seem as though the shooter has been apprehended. At least that's the news that we're getting right now. I'll point over to Donald Trump on Truth Social, who says, quite an evening in D.C. Secret Service law enforcement did a fantastic job. They acted quickly and bravely. The shooter has been apprehended, and I have recommended that we let the show go on, but will entirely be guided by law enforcement. They will make a decision shortly. Regardless of that decision, the evening will be much different than planned, and we'll just plain have to do it again. President Donald J. Trump. Now, he is supposedly going to be doing a press conference here shortly. I've got the news pulled up for us so we can watch that when that does take place. But you have the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which has a ton of journalists, elites, all there. The president typically goes up and does a monologue, some speeches, some jokes. They have some comedians speak as well. And it seems like a shooter was able to at least get on the premises, not into the actual ballroom or, the room in which the White House dinner is being hosted. But this is now being described as a shooting incident. And there was reports all over the place. Some people were saying that the shooter was apprehended. Others were saying that the shooter was dead. I believe Caitlin Collins of CNN actually hopped on and thought it was confirmed by Secret Service to her that the shooter was in fact dead. So I'm going to read some articles here. This is out of Business Insider. It says one individual was in custody following the incident, but the, quote, condition of those involved is not yet known, end quote. And that is according to a statement posted on social media by the Secret Service. The FBI confirmed in a statement that the subject was in custody just after 8:30 p.m., shortly after Trump had appeared for the first time as U.S. president at the White House Correspondents' Dinner and taken his seat on stage. He was suddenly They were suddenly shouting in front of the stage, according to Tim Rohn, who is a senior editor at the Axel Springer Global Reporters Network, who was at the event. And then, Secret Service rushes in. There's a ton of very important people at this White House Correspondents' Dinner, including the president, Melania, his press secretary, members of his cabinet, many people within the media, and they all rushed in. We're screaming for him to get down. And what an interesting time. If this is yet another assassination attempt or a planned assassination attempt on Donald Trump, this will be what? The third time, not to mention all the other thwarted times probably where this has taken place or somebody has planned for this to take place. Mind you guys, I'm getting updates on this very much in real time with each of you. We're going to turn to the news here for a little bit, see if they have anything to tell us or update us on.
Attendees, they were closed inside that ballroom. We don't have any images inside the ballroom at this point. We've got these 2 live shots, one at the White House podium, one right next to the briefing podium, and then one giving you an idea of how crowded this room is late on a Saturday night after what was supposed to be a fun event, now turning into a news event. The White House Correspondents Association postponing Correspondents' Dinner to a later date. The president said that he had hoped that they would return with the programming tonight, but they took the advice of law enforcement and they shut it down for the evening. The AP says that generally the Hilton Hotel, which is where the dinner was taking place and has been for years, it remains open to regular guests during the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and security has typically been focused on the ballroom rather than the hotel at large, with little screening for people not entering the dinner itself.
Now, of course, this has already created much debate as to who's responsible for this, what could be the political ideology of a person who's going out to do something like this. People are arguing right now all over social media. Were they left-leaning? Were they right-leaning? I don't see any confirmed reports as of this moment of the identity of the shooter, although there are some things circulating. I'm, of course, going to be very hesitant to share that online right now without official confirmation, because you just never know what's going to be said out there and whether or not these reports are actually going to be confirmed. And interestingly enough, we've been talking a lot about assassination culture recently, especially with Charlie Kirk. And if this is yet another planned assassination attempt, which it does sort of seem to be that, this is really no surprise. It seems like our nation is getting a little scarier and scarier when it comes to these things, and what a crazy world to be living in now where time after time this is taking place. And it does beg the question, how did this individual get in the general vicinity of this event, and especially with a firearm? People who were at the event are saying they did hear gunshots go off. Now, between who and who was firing at who, we don't know at this current moment. I'm going to turn to some clips here out of Fox News. Many of you are asking if Erica Kirk was present. It is being reported that she, in fact, was. So let's turn over to Fox and hear.
I want to share this detail from backstage. Our colleague Jackie Heinrich and others have reported that poor Erica Kirk. I mean, you mentioned we all saw Butler. Look, we all saw what happened to poor Charlie. We got this from backstage. Erica Kirk came running through the backstage in tears, crying, "I just want to go home." She was then escorted out of the building. It's just, again, it's one of those situations, Sean, I think you said it so well. The discourse, the tone, it's something's got to give here for the betterment of our country and indeed the entire world.
Kevin, I know somebody that actually saw that moment, saw her, spoke to her briefly, and can you really blame her? I mean, she watched an assassination of her young husband, somebody that believed in spirited, friendly, fun debate, that had a deep faith in God, and I just think that our better angels at some point here have got to take over. I know the tensions are high. I know the stakes are high. I understand the political ramifications of all of it. And we all care. And it's
There we go. Yeah, tensions are high. The stakes are high. This seems just like a crazier time every single day when I wake up. The stories that I'm hearing about what's happening in American politics, and especially the assassination culture of today's time, the way we are speaking to one another, and of course, particularly on the left. We've spoken at length on this channel about left-leaning violence, and of course, it's not confirmed yet as the political affiliations of this particular shooter or why they were there at this venue, what they were there to carry out. There's plenty of speculation as to whether or not this was an assassination attempt, but the truth of the matter is the rhetoric does need to be toned down. And I don't even know how many more times we can continue to keep saying this. I saw it recently, and this is not to blame Hassan Piker, but I saw recently Hassan Piker was talking about social murder and the murder of the United Healthcare CEO. And in reference to that, he was speaking to the idea that this guy had sort of done so much violence and physical harm and mental harm in his work as the United Healthcare CEO, that what was brought upon him was technically deserved by virtue of his position. And you have that go viral, and the next day, something like this takes place. And yeah, it's not his fault. I'm just talking about an example of the rhetoric that is taking place in relation to politics and where we hang on certain social issues or cultural issues. So guys, as of now, what we know, I'm trying to find out how this shooter even got into the venue. That seems to be something that is up for debate right now, or something that has not been cleared up. It seems as though they got into a lobby space of the building, started exchanging fire, and were apprehended. I'm getting reports that they were apprehended. I'm getting reports that they were shot. They were killed. So you guys let me know. I'm also reading your comments as you're updating me on what's taking place here. We are currently waiting because Trump, to his credit, as soon as this took place, was like, hey, let's continue to do this event. We want to continue with the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And at the advice of law enforcement, and because nobody wanted to be in this venue anymore, I believe, they decided that this is going to be postponed. Donald Trump says that this event is going to happen within the next 30 days. So they're just going to push it down the road a little bit. And he is slated to address the public in his normal press briefing area. And essentially this happened, and he said, I'm going to address the public within 30 minutes. That's where I stand on that. And we're still waiting. We're waiting for Donald Trump to come up. So whilst we're waiting, I'm just going to continue scrolling through the news here. There are some videos coming out that they are alleging are of the shooter in this instance. I'll show you a video here. So as you can see, this is sort of a lobby space. Plenty of Secret Service active.
Got it.
So there you go. This is who they're saying the shooter is at the moment.
Okay.
So you can see a little bit there in that video. It's a teacher and was like a teacher of the year, possibly. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up.
But I just gotta say this here. For this guy to be some random teacher from California is a little bit weird. I'm sorry. For this guy to be some random teacher is a little bit weird. Ah, come on. Come on. Work. Come on.
I'm going to go ahead and pull that up so that I can look into that. for you guys. I'm seeing you guys in the comments saying this is supposedly a 31-year-old man who was teacher of the year. So let's go ahead and see if we can find anything. Here's a guy.
I'm just leaving the White House Correspondents' Dinner now. One of the most surreal experiences of my life. Here's what we know in terms of what we think happened. Wolf Blitzer was going to the men's room on a bathroom break and saw all of this. A gunman was trying to get in near the lobby, which is upstairs from the main ballroom, and he apparently shot at one of the agents. There was a bullet hole in the vest,
What?
bulletproof vest of one of the agents, and
I got questions. How did this guy get this close? Why did this guy get this close? That's the questions I got. How did he get this close, and why did he get this close? Let's continue.
that shooter has now been apprehended, is in police custody. Inside the room, it was like a movie. President Trump, the Secret Service, climbed on top of him, the vice president, the...
Okay, now as my dog is howling, let's see. I believe the Trump is about to address. If not, he already is. Let's get some.
Dedicated to freedom of speech that was supposed to bring together members of both parties with members of the press. And in a certain way it did. Because the fact that they just unified, I saw a room that was just totally unified. It was in one way very beautiful, a very beautiful thing to see a man charged at a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons. And he was taken down by some very brave members of Secret Service, and they acted very quickly and have just released, for purposes of transparency, clarity, I've ordered it to be put out. You probably have it by now, put out on Truth and put out on many other platforms. A tape showing the violence of this thug that attacked our Constitution, and also showing how quickly Secret Service and law enforcement acted on our country's behalf. Really did a great job. One officer was shot, but saved by the fact that he was wearing obviously a very good bulletproof vest. He was shot from very close distance with a very powerful gun. And the vest did the job. I just spoke to the officer, and he's doing great. He's in great shape. He is has very high spirits, and we told him we love him and respect him. And he's a very proud guy. He's very proud of what he does, Secret Service agent. And we looked at all of the conditions that took place tonight, and I will say, it's not a particularly secure building. And I didn't want to say this, but this is why we have to have all of the attributes of what we're planning at the White House. It's actually a larger room, and it's much more secure. It's drone proof, it's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom. That's why Secret Service, that's why the military are demanding it. They've wanted the ballroom for 150 years for lots of different reasons, but today's a little bit different because today.
What the hell? Why are we talking about the ballroom? Which some of us who can peep game already know is going to be the new, so most likely the new presidential bunker right up under it. Let's continue.
We need levels of security that probably nobody's ever seen before. But everyone owes a tremendous debt of gratitude to the courage of law enforcement, the law enforcement, and working with the DC police. And just spoke with the mayor. And when we're finished, the police chief is going to take over and discuss it also from their viewpoint. But they also performed exactly as they were supposed to. And you see the attacker in different positions, but you also see the attacker totally subdued and under control. So I as you know, this is not the first time in the past couple of years that our republic has been attacked by a would-be assassin who sought to kill.
And of course, he is going to take this and politicize it. Let's continue.
In Butler, Pennsylvania, less than 2 years ago. You all know that story. And in Palm Beach, Florida, a few months after that, we came close. We really had, again, we had some great work done by law enforcement. But in light of this evening's events, I ask that all Americans recommit with their hearts in resolving our difference peacefully. We have to resolve our differences. I will say, you had Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Conservatives, Liberals, and Progressives. Those words are interchangeable, perhaps, but maybe they're not. But yet everybody in that room, big crowd, record-setting crowd. There was a record-setting group of people. And there was a tremendous amount of love and coming together. I watched, and I was very, very impressed by that. But First Lady and I were taken very well care of very quickly, rushed off the stage. Vice President J.D. Vance was here, was likewise beautifully done. He was just saying how quickly everybody acted, law enforcement, Secret Service in particular in this case, but law enforcement. Marco had the same thing. Pete was there. Pete didn't want any help. He didn't want anybody to help him. He doesn't want anybody to help him, but he did get some, didn't you? And I think you also said that it was very impressive. So with that, I'd like to ask Todd Blanche to come up, say a few words, and tell you it's already underway. The man has been captured. They're going to his apartment. I guess he lives in California, and he's a sick person, a very sick person. And we don't want things like this to happen. I think it's very important that I say, though, and I told the representatives of the evening, they did such a beautiful job. It was such a beautiful evening. And again, they're talking about free speech in our Constitution. That's what it's all about, not just White House correspondence. It was really based on free speech in our Constitution. But I said very importantly that we'll do it again within the next 30 days, and we'll make it bigger and better and even nicer. So I just want to thank everybody that was involved. I also want to thank the press, the media. You've been very responsible in your coverage. I will say I've been seeing what's been out. You've been very responsible. So Todd Blanche, I'd like to say a few words. I know we're going to have cash. And then you're going to go on. We can ask, I guess we can take a couple of questions. I want to thank the First Lady that was a rather traumatic experience for her. There was a lot of action taking place up there very quickly. But again, the response time was really incredible. And we're going to reschedule. We're going to do it again. We're not going to let anybody take over our society. We're not going to cancel things out because we can't do that. We wanted to say tonight, I will tell you, I fought like hell this day. But it was protocol. They said, please, sir, because they didn't know there was a lot of action going on, and they didn't know could there be probably a lone shooter, but we'll find out. We'll find out very quickly. They have it very well under control. So I want to thank everybody very much. And Todd Blanche, please.
Okay, so some things cleared up there for me at least.
President, tonight you saw the very worst and the very best of this country. You saw the very worst by the actions of that coward that the president just talked about. But you also saw the very best because you saw law enforcement do exactly what they're supposed to do. And you'll see the videos come out, I expect, very shortly, and you'll see law enforcement do exactly what we want them to do. And so I echo what President Trump just said, that we are extraordinarily grateful and appreciative of the men and women of law enforcement that did their jobs tonight, including one who was injured. This investigation is ongoing. I expect you will see charges filed shortly. The charges should be self-evident given the conduct, but as you'll hear, there will be multiple charges surrounding the shooting, around the possession of firearms, and anything else that we can get on this guy. The investigation is obviously ongoing and just started. There is federal law enforcement already working on search warrants and doing their job, and I don't want to get ahead of them. and don't want to get ahead of the work that they're doing even as we speak. Director Patel and I were just on the crime scene a short while ago, and everybody in this room should rest assured that the Metropolitan Police Department, the FBI, Secret Service, everybody's on the scene doing their job. I know that the police chief is going to give an update from the scene as soon as we're finished here, and I obviously will lead the details of what they have learned to him. But in the meantime, I just want to thank everybody in this room for the courage, and I want to thank President Trump for his words, and I promise you, justice will be served. Thank you, Dr. Patel.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Mr. President. The President's absolutely right. You saw the best resolve of American law enforcement because you, Mr. President, inspire them 24/7, 365. You give them the resources that they need, and they know that you have their back. And that is a changing dynamic in this country, and that's why you saw brave Secret Service agents respond immediately, swiftly, subdue and take down the suspect, and safeguard the lives of thousands of individuals at that hotel.
Question: how the hell did this guy get near the building with a weapon? That's question number one. Question number two is, how did he get near this building with military grade weapons? How? Let's continue.
Thanks to our interagency partnership with the Department of Homeland Security and the Metropolitan Police Department, the FBI was rapidly deployed onto the scene, took over the evidence response unit, is examining all the ballistics that were found on scene to include the long gun and the shell casings. We are conducting witness interviews as we speak. You will hear from our team on the scene there with the mayor and the head of the FBI field division there. But please know what the Attorney General has just said reigns no truer. You saw the very best of America tonight. The very best unite us at a time of uncertainty, because we have leadership here with the president, the vice president, that backs law enforcement, and the men and women that I shook their hands on the scene today could not have been prouder to show up on scene. And as the Attorney General said, make no mistake, we are conducting witness interviews. If you have any information whatsoever related to this event, 1-800-CALL FBI, 1-800-CALL FBI. No piece of information is too small. No piece of information is inadequate. We will evaluate it all. We will also be conducting interviews of those that were there. And if any of those individuals have information, please come forward to law enforcement of the FBI or the Metropolitan Police Department. We will be examining this individual's background thoroughly. That process has already started, and we are going to ensure that he was either a lone wolf actor or anyone else that was responsible. We will analyze all evidence immediately to make sure that we safeguard this country. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, thank you for your leadership. Attorney General, Homeland Secretary Marlin, thank you for your partnership in law enforcement.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, we'll do a couple and then we go to the chief. Madam Chairman, I just want to say you did a fantastic job. What a beautiful evening, and we're going to reschedule. After that, it's very tough for her to ask a killer question, right? But you have done a fantastic job. Please.
Mr. President, I appreciate it. As you mentioned, it all happened so quickly. And I wonder, especially because unfortunately you have experience with these sorts of threats, in that moment when you realized there was a threat and service agents were telling us to get down, can you describe what was running through your mind, how you were feeling in that moment?
That's a very good question. Actually, it's always shocking when something like this happens. Happened to me a little bit, and that never changes. The fact we were sitting right next to each other, the First Lady on my right, and I heard a noise and sort of thought it was a tray. I thought it was a tray going down. I've heard that many times, and it was a pretty loud noise, and it was from quite far away. He hadn't breached the area at all. They really got him, but so it was quite far away, but it was a gun. And some people really understood that pretty quickly, other people didn't. I was watching to see what was happening. Probably should have gone down even faster. Melania was very cognizant, I think, of what happened. I think she knew immediately what happened. She was saying, that's a bad noise. And we were whisked away along with other people, but we were really whisked away. And again, the performance of the Secret Service and the police all of the law enforcement, I thought was really good. So it was very quick. There wasn't a lot of time to be thinking because it was a matter of seconds before we were out the door and gone into an area. We very much, and you wanted to too, we very much wanted to continue it because I don't like to let these sick people, these thugs, these horrible, horrible people change the fabric of our life, change the course of what we do. So we held out. You were there. We held out right till the end, but they didn't want to take a chance, and I understand it was protocol. But we're going to be doing one hopefully within the next 30 days or sooner, and I am ready, willing, and able, and I was all set to really rip it. And I said to my people, this would be the most inappropriate speech ever made if I said it. So I'll have to save it. I don't know if I could ever be as rough as I was going to be tonight. I think I'm going to be probably very nice. I'll be very boring the next time, but we're going to have a great event. And you did a fantastic job. Thank you very much, Peter.
In New York Post, President Trump in New York assembled his weapon somewhere on site at the hotel. What do you think about that? And I ask respectfully, why do you think this keeps happening to you? Hey,
well,
this keeps happening to you.
Well, I've studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people, the people that do the most, you take a look at the people, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you go through the people that have gone through this where they got them. But the people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after. They don't go after the ones that don't do much because they like it that way. And when you look at the people that have either, whether it was an attempt or a successful attempt, they're very impactful people. Just take a look at the names there, the big names. And I hate to say I'm honored by that, but I've done a lot. We've done a lot. We've taken this country, and we were a laughing stock for years, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We've changed this country, and there are a lot of people that are not happy about that. So I think that's the answer, Peter.
And after Butler, your team for a while rethought outdoor events.
Yeah.
Do you think that you now need to rethink
No,
indoor?
well, but then you just don't do events. Now I can't do that. I have to. It is what it is. We have to do it. The room was very, very secure. He charged from 50 yards away, so he was very far away from the room.
And what did you think when you saw the video of how fast he was running?
He was moving. He was really moving. And the reaction time was great. Boy, those guys, they had their guns drawn literally by the time he was there. They were shooting.
That's right.
I thought they were very impressive. And if I didn't, I'd let you know. I'm not going to be... I would not stand for that. No, I thought they were very impressive.
Earlier, were you aware of any threats? Was your team aware of any threats beforehand? And do you believe you were the target of this tonight?
I guess. I mean, these people.
Target of this tonight?
I guess. I mean, these people they're crazy. They're crazy, and you never know. He was very far away from me. He had to go through a lot. We had resources all over. We had resources sitting at tables, literally in disguise, sitting maybe at your table, who knows? But we had people all over the room, so he had a long way to go. That was really a first line of defense, and they got him. And they really, they acted incredibly. No, there was no notification. We had no idea. Go ahead.
Do you have any political motivations from this?
By tomorrow or the next day, he's in custody, and they're asking him they're asking him a lot of questions. I guess they're going over Todd, and they're already at his apartment. He lives in California.
Yes, sir.
And they're over there, so they'll be able to tell you. Thank you, Caitlin.
President Trump, did the suspect say any what alleged some type of motive here?
No, I mean, he was a guy who looked pretty evil when he was down. They had him down. He was fighting hard. He was in my opinion, a sick person. Who would do that but a sick person? But I think you're going to find everything about him. No reason to talk about it now. But tomorrow at this time, long before this time, you're going to know a lot of things about him. Before this time, you're going to know a lot of things about him. They seem to think he was a lone wolf, and I feel that too.
Are you concerned about U.S. Secret Service protection ability? We saw several of the detainees take minutes to be escorted out the room.
No, they acted very quickly. No, I was very impressed by Secret Service. I mean, I'm the one, and Mark Wade, you would agree with that, I think. I'm the one that would complain. You don't have to complain for me. I would be complaining. I'd be up here right now saying they didn't do their job. Oh, believe me, because, you know, it's my life. And I want to live because I want to make this country great. That's why I want to live. But when you're impactful, they go after you. When you're not impactful, they leave you alone. Okay, a couple of more. Go ahead, please.
Is there any indication that this shooting could have been linked to the war in Iran?
I don't think so, but you never know. We're going to know a lot. We have the best people in the world working on it, and we're going to know a lot. Please.
President, there's a lot. You, as well as some of us who have covered Butler, experienced another horrific day 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What felt similar? You know, you had the First Lady with you today. What felt different? And you have another 2+ years in office. Are you concerned about something like this happening?
Well, I can't be concerned. I can only get great people. They did the job, in my opinion, a much better job than Butler. Butler had one weak spot that we all know about. Somebody should have been up there. But even Butler, we had our sniper on our side within 4.2 seconds from a distance of about 400 yards, one shot, and he was gone. And if he didn't do now, you know, he's David. His name was David. I say, hello, David, every time I see him. David, I like you very much, David. But think of that. Now, if he doesn't hit him, and he hit him right between the eyes from 400 yards without any notice, nobody knew. He heard a sound. He looked over, and there was actually a tree that was somewhat in his way. You know the story very well. And he aimed, he fired, and if he didn't do that, beyond me, you would have had a lot more people killed. We lost one great person and 2 people very badly hurt. They're okay now. But no, that was so. In a sense, you know, that was pretty amazing the job they did. But they did have that one weak spot, as you know. They should have had that covered. Tonight they had everything covered very quickly, and he was fast. He was running full blast, and they got him before they got any further. I was very far away. You know, he hadn't anywhere close to breach the doors of the ballroom. The ballroom was sealed, and everybody in there. That's why once those doors opened, they didn't want to do tonight. If the doors weren't opened, we could have probably done it tonight, but I think we're much better off rescheduling. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, for you and perhaps law enforcement as well, what is the level of confidence that this was a lone actor, and has the suspect made any statements to police while in custody?
Yeah, I think it's my profession. We have great professionals up here and outside that have been working with us. My impression is he was a lone wolf, whack job. These are crazy people. And they have to be dealt with. We had that in the second attempt, as you know, and he's spending life in prison. Because if you let him out, they'll probably, you know, if he serves 10 years or 15 years, you let him out, he'll probably try it again with somebody else. They're sick people. We have a lot of sick people. But you're going to know, I think very shortly, you're going to know, Todd, a lot about him. You're going to know a lot about him. Yeah, a couple of more.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Are you concerned about political violence? This could be politically motivated.
Violence. I'm concerned about everything. Look, I can't be so concerned that you can't function. No, I'm here. It's a dangerous profession. You know, I tell the story, race car drivers, I think it's very dangerous. So if you take 1% and then take about 10% of 1%, just to break it down very easily, they die. So much less than 1%, 10% of 1%. I think bull riding is very dangerous. If you take about the same 10% of 1%, much less than 1%. But if you take presidents, it's 5.8%. And about 8% are shot at. So nobody told me this was such a dangerous profession. If Marco would have told me, maybe I wouldn't have run. Maybe I would have said, I'll take a pass. No, it's a dangerous profession, but I don't view it that way. Look, I'm here to do a job. As part of the job, it is a dangerous. I can't imagine that there's any profession that's more dangerous. But I love the country, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the job we've done. You see what's happened. We have a great country. We've got I think the most successful, the hottest country anywhere in the world. This happened over a period of just a year, and we're going to do great things. But with that come risks. There's no question about it. Yeah.
To that end, I mean, there's been so much political violence, not just aimed at yourself, but at other members of Congress, state house speakers, you name it. Is that just the cost of doing business?
Yeah.
Do politics in America anymore?
Yeah. Well,
what does that say about our country?
We're not the only country. You look at this great violence with all countries. I was talking to somebody from another country today, and they have numerous assassinations of political figures all over the world. You look at South America. In South America, it's like some of the numbers are just horrific. It's dangerous stuff, whether it's here or someplace else. No country is immune. No country. Good question.
Will we turn that temperature down at this point?
Well, probably if I decided to just not do much, if I let everybody rip us off and take advantage of us. Look, we're leading the world in trade now. We're leading the world in the military. We're the greatest military in the world. I rebuilt it in my first term, and now we use it because we have no choice. We can't let, as an example, Iran, we can't let them get a nuclear weapon. Everything will be peanuts compared to that if they ever were given a nuclear weapon, and they'd use it too. Marco and I were talking about it today. They would use it without even hesitation. We can't do that. It was a shame. I said, oh boy, look at the numbers. We just broke 50,000 of the Dow. We just broke 7,000 of the S&P. They said we couldn't do it in 7 years, like 5 years, 4 years. They were saying.
I see you guys asking for thoughts. I'm just listening to make sure we get all the information here because he is the one to hear from in this moment.
All of these people and others.
I'll be in a second.
We have to take a little journey. I seek to do this. We just had the great number. We just broke 50,000. Wasn't supposed to happen during my term. Wasn't reachable. Did it in 1 year. And I said, we're going to have to make a journey to Iran. They're going to have a nuclear weapon if we don't do it. We had the B-2 bombers take them out. I terminated in the first term the Obama agreement, the Iran nuclear agreement, which was a disaster. That was a road to a nuclear weapon. They would have used it. They would have used it 100%. So, when you do things like that, you become a target. If I wasn't doing that, I guess I'd be a lot less of a target. But I'm honored to be. Okay, one more question. Okay, one more. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, President Trump. Did you know how the gun was brought into the hotel? And also, how does this event impact you as the leader of our country? Do you think it will change?
I like not to think about it. I lead a pretty normal life, considering it's a dangerous life. I think I handle it as well as it can be handled. I think a lot of other people, you read stories where they become basket cases. To be honest with you, I'm not a basket case. I really take it as it is. I do it for the country. I'm not doing it for any other reason. I have a first lady who's doing a terrific job. She loves the country, and she recognizes it better than anybody. She's told me numerous times. She said, you are in a dangerous job. But that goes along with her too. I mean, it's dangerous for her too. We sat there tonight, we heard that noise, and it was either a tray or a bullet. I was hoping it was a tray, but it wasn't. And again, we had some very brave people doing a great job, so we're very proud of them and happy with them. I just want to thank everybody. They will be able to give you all that information as to the names and everything else. I think we released the names already. Most of you would have it, but his name. We appreciate it. I see so many tuxedos and beautiful dresses.
All right, I'll close out his remarks there. Now, interestingly, it does seem as though we have a name being reported. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. But interesting remarks from Donald Trump. He's one of those people that, in the face of just about anything, he's going to come through. He's going to try to speak immediately, and he's going to rip some jokes on you, which is just so fascinating. Really, very uncommon, I would think, for a president to do, especially with what we've experienced in the past. He's just really a different type. Now, he has released on Truth Social some images of the alleged shooter here, and I'll go ahead and pull that up for you guys. Here he is. And again, they're saying this is a 31-year-old teacher from Torrance, California. with some sort of long weapon, long gun is how it's being described right now, that he put together.
Probably
And then
M4,
came into this
M16.
lobby space, as Trump described in his remarks. One of the sort of first portions of the building that you come into to, I guess, carry out an attack. And we still don't know the exact details as to what this guy was planning on doing and who his target was. Of course, we can speculate and make some assumptions there. Now, they're saying that the shooter's name, and I'll pull that up for you guys here, is Cole Allen. And here's that. And there's this little teacher of the month thing. So that's where people are getting this occupation, a teacher from Torrance, California. Now, again, these are just the initial reports that I'm seeing on the internet. If for any reason this changes, for any reason his identity changes, the name changes, it is in fact not this teacher of the month, I will go back through and scrub it from this video. But here's the footage that we showed earlier. I'll take myself off the screen so you guys can see. Here he is. Being apprehended, and these are similar photos to what we had Trump share of him having his face laid into the ground. Now, Trump mentions in his press briefing that this place was not super secure. So now we're sort of hearing maybe a little bit of how this guy got into the building with this long weapon, as they're describing it, this firearm. How? I mean, I don't know, with how much this president has gone through, with this being what, third or fourth assassination attempt, if that's what this is, you would think we'd be having these buildings a little bit more secure than they actually are. But now here we have another story like this of this shooter. Now there are other screenshots and things coming out. Again, I'm going to share that with you at this moment. If for some reason this ends up changing, I will scrub this, retract, let you guys know what the actual details are. We've got he, him pronouns online for this alleged Cole Allen shooter. Again, 31 years old, a teacher, I guess, who identifies as communist and is from Torrance, California, which is really, not too far from where I'm at. This very interesting development. I cannot say that I'm at all surprised by this taking place. It just seems like this is where the minds are these days. I'm seeing a lot of rhetoric online of people talking about the assassination of this president, calling for the assassination of this president, calling for political violence with anybody who disagrees with them. And of course, we are more than likely to see this sort of rhetoric on the left than on the right. Regardless of how you feel about politics right now, that is simply what's happening. I will go online these days, and I'm getting video after video of just American leftists looking into the camera and going, it could be today. It could be today. And you sit there as a normal-minded individual and you go, what are they talking about? It could be today. And of course, then you apply the context of everything that everybody's talking about today and the Trump derangement syndrome. And of course, what a lot of these people are talking about is that this could be the day that Donald Trump dies. This could be the day that he is assassinated. This could be the day that he succumbs to some health issue that people are circulating on the internet. So it's no surprise that one after the other, we have people attempting to commit heinous acts of violence, probably against Donald Trump, but also against other political figures. So it's just another drop in the bucket, it seems. Now, again, for those of you who are just tuning in, it seems that the shooter has now been identified as 31-year-old Cole Allen, a teacher from Torrance, California. I'll pull up some more here. Cam Higbee writes on X, heavy police presence at Torrance, California home 27 minutes ago. Black SUVs paired with reports of, quote, man hitting a door with a sledgehammer, end quote, possibly the home of the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter, which they're acting really fast on all of this. So this could be another piece of that puzzle where they're going in to investigate, going in to raid the household of this individual to get more details. And right now we don't have that many details as to what his motive was, why he was there, what he was armed with. We do know that he did injure an officer who was shot in what Trump says was a bulletproof vest at a apparently close range, according to Donald Trump in that press briefing. So luckily, there was very quick action from law enforcement, and this guy was apprehended. There is footage here that's also being shared by Donald Trump on Truth Social, I believe. Here we go. Just some blurry footage of the shooter. So you guys can take a look at that. I mean, running through very quickly. Unbelievable. Let's pull back and watch that again. Wow. Oh, just what a crazy time to be alive.
Yeah, very crazy.
I keep mentioning this. What a weird time to be pregnant with a kid. Also, it's just like the world is getting crazier and
the
crazier
whole
and
world's
crazier,
getting weirder and
it doesn't
weirder.
seem that the rhetoric is being toned down at all. In fact, it seems like it's being ratcheted up, and I won't be surprised if we get a lot of stuff on the internet being posted about how the guy had one job or he had one thing he needed to accomplish and he couldn't get it done. It's the same thing over and over and over again every time this happens. It seems like a good portion of this country is excited, celebrating the person responsible for these acts or the person who wanted to attempt these acts and is waiting for somebody to actually be successful with it. And at what point do we stop it? At what point do we go, this is enough? At what point do we start to make some sort of amends? And can you, when people believe this and when people are sharing this rhetoric on a day-to-day basis about somebody who is democratically elected president here in the United States, this is somebody who 50% of Americans decided should be the president of the United States, decided to support him, give him a mandate to do better in this country and to turn this country around. And as he said in his remarks, he thinks a large part of the reason that he is being targeted, if that's what this is because of how much he's doing to turn this country around. And I know there's a huge split on the right now as to whether or not he's doing that. I still very much look at Donald Trump and think this is a president who has accomplished a lot. And I look at what our alternative could have been for a president and just thank goodness we are not dealing with that. But with this reality of a Donald Trump presidency comes these heinous acts of violence, which luckily today were not able to be carried out because of the work of law enforcement. And shout out to law enforcement, the same people who are going through this BLM, ACAB, defund the police movement, who are so ready and quick to respond to actions like this and to put their lives in danger for the sake of this administration and for so many Americans. As Donald Trump said, one officer was shot. Luckily, it seems he took that bullet to his bulletproof vest. We're getting just more reports here, more photos trickling in of this Cole Allen, the attempted assassin targeting President Trump at tonight's White House Correspondents' Dinner, identified as 31-year-old Cole Allen from Torrance, California, and he is allegedly a confirmed Democratic donor. So we're gonna wait, I guess, and see if we get more information as to the motive of this guy, as to what he intended to carry out, as to how much planning went into this particular event, as to how he got into the building in the first place to essentially bum rush Secret Service and to end up shooting one of them, and why this alleged 31-year-old man who was at some point awarded Teacher of the Year in whatever respective area he is teaching, decided to carry out an attack like this, or decided to at least attempt to carry out an attack like this. What a traumatizing moment for everybody present to have to deal with this. Even more traumatizing for those who have had to go through this on multiple occasions. And to see our president, I mean, even if you hate Donald Trump, I gotta say, to see him bounce back from assassination attempt after assassination attempt after assassination attempt, and not only try to continue to do events as he wanted to do with his White House Correspondents' Dinner, fighting, to continue this event and to go out and do his monologue. There are my dogs. What a credit to to him that he wants to continue to try in a time like this, especially with the president we had before, who at no point really wanted to address the American public, even for regular press briefings. So just imagine, I'm gonna have to like pull over to the news here, see if we get any other information while my dogs bark this out.
It does appear he is a lone actor, a lone gunman. There does not appear to be any sort of danger to the public at this time. However, we are continuing to investigate this matter. At this point, I will turn it over to, I believe, the FBI.
Hi, good evening. I'm Darren Cox, the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's Washington Field Office. The American public should be proud of the quick response and heroic actions from law enforcement officers tonight to keep the American public safe. Their actions are absolutely heroic. The public should also rest assured that there will be no stone unturned during this investigation. The FBI currently has our Joint Terrorism Task Force here on scene, along with our criminal division, our crisis response team, and agents from across the country are working on any leads that may come in this investigation. Anyone with tips in this investigation should call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Thank you.
Director Kern. My name is Sean Kern, I'm the Director of the Secret Service. Tonight, we saw exactly what our brave men and women do each and every day to protect our protectees. It's not easy, and I will tell you that they performed admirably. We got to see what they do. And that individual, when he charged a checkpoint, was apprehended. It shows that our multi-layered protection works, and I'm grateful to our partners that help assist us with building these sites and protecting these sites. Very fortunate that this officer is alive, is being observed. I'm grateful that the president reached out to this officer and spoke with him earlier. I ask everybody to pray for him and all of our officers and agents that were involved. And I will tell you, we will continue with the mission. Thank you.
Judge Pirro.
I'm Janine Pirro. I'm the United States Attorney. Right now, the defendant is being charged with 2 counts, 924C, using a firearm during a crime of violence, and a second crime under 111, which is assault on a federal officer using a dangerous weapon. Now, as you all know, there was an individual, a uniformed Secret Service officer, who was shot, and fortunately, he is doing all right and he will be fine. But it is clear, based upon what we know so far, that this individual was intent on doing as much harm and as much damage as he could. And thankfully, because of the checkpoint right outside the ballroom, where thousands of people were situated to hear the President of the United States, because that checkpoint worked, there was no one who was injured when it was clear where this defendant was going.
Okay, well, there you have it. I mean, they're saying now it was clear this guy wanted to do as much damage as possible. I wonder what we're going to hear in the coming hours and in the coming days about this person. I hope this is something that is fully investigated, and hopefully the public gets as much information as possible. I've been sort of unsatisfied with how much information we get when things like this happen in the past. So we'll be on the lookout to hear more. And of course, he can be questioned and interrogated because he was in fact apprehended, although we were getting so many reports from so many different sources that he was dead. But now, of course, he is in police custody and is probably having his entire house raided, being questioned at this very moment. I'm over it, guys. I'm sure you guys are over it too. It seems like the news is just rife with political violence these days. And they keep upping the ante. I mean, it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. The rhetoric is worse and worse and worse. And every single time we have a conversation about turning down the temperature and who's going to be responsible for turning down the temperature, even though I think it's become abundantly clear the usual suspects and the typical demographic of these particular acts of violence. But I guess I will hold my tongue because who knows, I could be shocked and this could end up going some other way than what we're all thinking it probably is at this very moment. I'm going to read some of your chats here, and specifically
Okay. That's pretty much what happened last night at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. With that being said, I'll see y'all later, and I hope y'all have a good morning. Peace.